All right, good morning. It is Tuesday, July 13th. Takes a minute to remember there. And we are in yet another Walmart parking lot. This one happens to be in Meridian, Idaho. And realized we were right at the 30-day mark of when we kicked off what we've affectionately called our Summer Racing Bootcamp, and thought we would just sit down and talk a little bit about what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we've learned, and what's next. So, we started talking, April or May,
yes,
about this summer shaping up to really, push our limits and give some extra time to racing. And then we found, we decided we could spend some time at MSRH. We could do track days at Laguna, Seca, and then we found the Superbike school at the Ridge, and then we've got a day with Ty Howard and time at Crescent coming up within the next couple of weeks. So 6 weeks of real, pretty significant intensity of not a lot other than work, travel, and something to do with bikes is pretty much what we've been up to. So let's start with, has it been worth it? How are you feeling 30 days in?
Great experience. Been a lot of driving, definitely a lot of driving. Left Texas, went to California. Laguna Seca it's one of the best tracks I ever rode before. I mean, I did Kota, but Laguna Seca is just a step higher. The elevation change, it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful track. We learn a lot. Fun track days, great organization, great people. They took the time to really teach us the basics of body position on the bike, and so it was a great experience in Laguna Seca. And then we went to the Ridge, and I feel like it was like a next level up after that. We did level 1 and level 2. Level 1 was already, it blew my mind. Level 1 was awesome. They taught us about, body position, just like the basics again, but with more in-depth explanation on why. And what I really like is just the why. Why you do this, why you need to do that, and don't do it for the picture, but do it for efficiency. One other thing that I took out of it. And then level 2 was just,
we looked at each other several times in the classroom, and I think we were both picking our jaws up off the floor at maybe how obvious some of this stuff was, that we were sort of shocked that we were just now figuring it out.
Yes, just very obvious, sentences that they were telling us, and we're like, duh. Yes, we're supposed to know that, but then, just taking us from the classroom and go and apply it on the track, and you realize right away that, oh crap, it's working. It's real. Well, and I think we were at each other and I know we were thinking the same thing, we had to ride 3,000 miles to learn that, and it was an awesome experience. It's definitely worth it. I encourage anyone, really want to take their riding to the next level to, take the time off if they can, and definitely attend those classes. It's a game changer.
The intensity, and the coordination. I think, the intensity was just off the charts, and we'd had a really tough week of travel. Getting from Laguna Seca to the Ridge is quite a distance in just a few days. We did Laguna on the 3rd and 4th, and the Ridge on the 9th and 10th. So between working and driving, we barely had any time that week. So I was battling a little bit of fatigue that morning, and the anxiety of a new track. So the first few sessions were particularly hard, but then when you realize just how coordinated everything was, from the classroom to the specific way they would have you ride the track, maybe just a certain gear, no brakes or light brakes, very specific exercises, hand signals from your coach, where your coach would drop in front of you and get you to do certain things. Just the level of coordination and specificity of each session, working on one or two really small things. You'd do it in the classroom, you'd hear about it in the classroom, you'd go try it out on the track, and then you'd talk to your coach, and you would just do that over and over again. And on Friday, I spoke up and asked a question. Elevation has always been tricky for me, even at Hallett. I've never felt like I've mastered it, so that's why these two tracks were particularly important for me to come learn. But there's a hill, I guess it's turn 3 at the ridge, where you're going up, and it's a blind hill. There's nothing on the other side, and I had found a tree on the horizon that kind of matched where in the track needed to be, and felt pretty good about that. It had taken me a while to do that at Hallett on that hill that I'd crashed on. So feeling okay about finding that and knowing where to go, and then kind of spoke up and asked the coach about that, and he was like, "No, you don't need to do that. You need to keep your eyes on the track." And I was a little bit frustrated because I didn't really know what that meant. But he gave me a few hints, and it didn't completely click until the next session, which the Saturday was all about our eyes. And again, probably second session, Dylan Code, again, I sort of continued the conversation, and he said, no, you find the spot on the track, maybe it's 40 or 50% in, and you look at that spot on the track. And it just, in that moment, it just felt so obvious how to shift what I was looking at, because I realized I find corner working stations or trees or poles or water tanks or whatever it might be. I find lots of reference points, but they're often off the track.
Yep.
And those videos of riders' eyes and the difference between kind of a novice rider's eyes
and the professional riders.
I mean, just the professional riders, they didn't move.
No, you can see, they are just keeping their eyes on where they want to go, and you could see, the bike moving, you could see them passing people, and they are almost not blinking, it's straight where they want to go. And it was a game changer, and I mean, it was so obvious that, we thought like, we took it for granted, but then when you really go out there and start practicing, your lap time is dropping.
It was, and I'm glad I paid for that, to see that, because I don't think we said the word lap time all weekend. I mean, nobody was focused on lap time, but if you look at the progression, clearly it's happening. And another guy in our class said, well, what about other riders? This all sounds great, but what about the other riders?
Yeah, what about when they're passing you, if they're doing an aggressive pass on you, or what do you do? And the coach was like, well, keep your eyes on the track, don't worry about them. Like, oh, okay. And it's true, and it's just the science behind it, just explaining to you why you don't need to do that, and the reason, if you do it, what's happening in your brain and how your brain is working and how the human body is wired, it's just mind-blowing. And after that, it makes sense, and you go out there and you practice it, and you just feel better, you feel more relaxed on a motorcycle. They are making sure that you are relaxed, even while leaning, they will ask you to, move your elbows and make sure that you are relaxed, and I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, it felt, I'm still very much learning, but it felt going all the way back to the basics and rebuilding. I mean, I almost want to study the booklet and go back and do the exercises.
Yes, and I think that's why we decided to do that. We wanted to go back to the basics and really, forget about maybe the bad habits that we had, and really, go to school and learn. Everything that you want to master, you need to go to school and learn, and that's what we did. And I feel like we're on the right track.
So I want to talk about counter steering. I think that was an equally important, maybe second importance, and I think we figured out the steering dampener on the R3 might be too tight, because it didn't work very well on the R3, but you felt it on the MT.
Yes. Another mind-blowing concept. So you want to turn a motorcycle, you don't turn the steering wheel where you want to go. You gently push, and the bike is going to fall. It doesn't make sense until you try it, and it's like a roller coaster. You just push the handle and the bike is dropping, and all you have to do is let go of the steering and it's going to go back and track again. And I mean, someone will tell you that, you will be like, nah, it doesn't make sense. But then, so he took the example of a broom. If you have a broom like this and you want the broom to go to the left side, you push your hand to the right side, and it's just like that on a motorcycle. You want to go to the right, then you push. And I mean, it's awesome. We try it on the track, and I mean, it's working. I could tell you, it's working.
I'm ready to try that one out. Okay, so we've got to travel. We're in Idaho, yes. Making our way back eventually to Crescent. Have a day with Ty, and I think we've got to convince him to let us try some of our exercises. But the biggest takeaway, I think, is all these reference points, that for basically every turn point, every exit point, every apex, you've got to have, they called it visual breadcrumbs of your way through the track, and you pick your visual breadcrumbs, and that's all you look at. And then if you want to change your line through a track, you just change one of your breadcrumbs, which it's so obvious, I think, when it hits you in the forehead. But I'm excited to try it out at Crescent and then at MSRH and see a track that I already think I'm familiar with. What a difference, because I know I don't have all of the exit points and everything mapped out in quite this level of detail. So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, me too, definitely. There are some elevation changes in Crescent and some blind turns, so I think we'll be able to use all what we learn and apply it to that track. Absolutely.
So it's been fun. We've got another couple of weeks of this pace, and then we'll regroup again and figure out what's next. I think we've had several conversations. We haven't been on social media all that much, just because it has been such hard days. But there are lots of folks that have really worked with us to make this possible. Obviously, your family, Mandy and Genesis, tolerate this adventure.
Definitely. And then big shout out to Ray and Steven at Ray Pit Stop. I mean, it was a quick turnaround on the bikes. They got both bikes ready, changed tires, and thanks to you guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, they switched out our we love our endurance tank for endurance races, but for a trip like this, it would have been really tough. So they put our regular gas tank back on, got things all set. My mom rode with me, from the Texas to Vegas part of it. My sister flew in last weekend to be with me at the Ridge and start to learn the pit stuff, which was just a ton of fun. Hutch, John Hutchinson, has been in touch with us every time we ride. Yeah. We send him the weather conditions and what it's looking like, and they've been, Laguna is interesting. It changes all throughout the day. Really the Ridge too, but not as extreme on the days that we were there. But really everybody in our lives has been super supportive in making this happen, and we're gonna keep it going as much as we can.
Yes, we need to thank like Team Irie, Ronnie, Ross, for their input on the tire choices, and organizing the trailers, so everybody put in the work to make it happen. So we are thankful. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and we look forward to riding with you guys at the Tie Day in a couple weeks. See you soon.
See you.